Hey, welcome to this rather special interview. I'm standing on the south side of the River Thames in central London, here to witness the opening of the Battersea Power Station, a rather ambitious program that took about 10 years to reach to this stage, and we're still not done yet, with 10 more years to go in terms of its full completion. This very ambitious program is taking about 9 billion pounds sterling, or about 55 billion ringgit in terms of gross development value. It's supported by the four key shareholders of Malaysia, namely PNB, EPF, SP Setia, as well as Sani Property. The Phase 1 and Phase 2 programs are done, fully completed. And of course, I'm here to witness the opening of the Battersea Power Station by the young di-Pertuan Agong, our king. Of course, this program is looking like exactly what it was envisioned. The stamina and the resilience of the shareholders to stick with the Battersea Power Station Development Corporation when it comes to executing the development is actually quite crucial. Because of this, I'll be speaking with the two key persons of Battersea Power Station Development Corporation, namely its chairman, Datuk Jagan Sabapathy, as well as its CEO, Simon Murphy, to talk about what got them here, and more importantly, what will take them further in the future. Enjoy this conversation with me and with Simon, of the CEO of Battersea Power Station Development Corporation, as well as the chairman, Datuk Jagan Sabapathy. Datuk, thanks for taking the time to speak with us. I want to ask you, how has the journey been? Of course, this is a long project. We want to learn more about your own progress into trying to pull this off.
10 years, long journey. And I think we all are, we've achieved a lot over 10 years. I mean, and you've all seen this. Phase 1's been built, Phase 2, the Battersea Power Station apartments have been handed over the last months. But more importantly, at the end of 10 years, the big building, the iconic building, is now complete, right? It will give us a chance to open our doors to the London public and all the visitors, and it's going to be a wow moment. So yes, it's a big deal for us.
And of course, it's also important to see what the reception have been. Maybe you can share with us what was the reaction from the local communities, as well as some reactions from the international supporters of this project.
You meet people at different times, and sometimes I come to London quite often, and through immigration, the immigration officer will say, "Why are you coming?" And I will say, "Yes, we've got this investment in Battersea Power Station," and inevitably it is wonderful. That place has been run down, it's great what you guys are doing, and we Londoners are waiting to visit. And the same thing is, if I catch a cab into the office, and everybody's excited. So I think for a lot of Londoners who know this project, who know that it's been empty and derelict for 40 years, I think most of them, without exception, are excited. And I think they see for themselves the level of restoration, the level of detail, the fact that we have within this iconic building been able to put in some wonderful retail offerings and F&B offerings. I hope that we'll have a much better positive response.
And of course, Phase 1 and Phase 2 is fully completed, but perhaps you can share with us the percentages, so to speak, in terms of the full completion of the project.
Okay, we're about 60% done, right? It's a 42-acre site, pretty much central London. It takes time, right? And I mean, if we look at the last 10 years, there have been disruptions. I mean, COVID was a disruption and a distraction, but going forward, we've still got another 40%, that's about 16, 17 acres to develop. So I think based on how we look at the outlook for real estate and the economy, I think it's another 10 more years to go. And we've got flexible planning for the balance. We'll have to build what the market wants. 10 plus years.
When we met yesterday, you were talking about the stamina of the shareholders, or the resilience of it. Maybe you can speak to that effect into the kind of relationship that the Battersea Power Station Development Company and the relationship with the shareholders. How has it been?
I think if you look at it, we've got, within the development company, we have Sani Property, we have SP Setia, we have EPF. I mean, obviously EPF being the big pension fund is without doubt a solid anchor for the project. And then we've got PNB over Sime Darby and EPF. So we've got extremely strong shareholders. And I think it's one of these projects, if you start off from day one, you know you're in for the long game. It's not something that's going to just simply happen over time. And you know that when you have a project that's in the long game, there will be cycles, there will be ups and downs. So I think from day one, we understood that this was going to be not easy, it was going to be challenging. It's not a greenfield site, it's a brownfield site. There are lots of things that we don't know. And also, you know, 42 acres, central London, the absorption takes time. So I think the fact that we were prepared for it from day dot has allowed us to navigate 10 years, navigate it well, and we are positioned now to look at the next 10 years, and then, you know, we've created value with what we've done. Now, how do we enhance our value over the next 10 years? So that's the game plan. I think if you said to me, are you going to be very specific about it? I think we'll be very market driven.
Let's talk a little bit more about the Malaysia element, particularly when it comes to trying to get more Malaysians to come here, to do events here, maybe some elements of tourism. What is the plan going to be like? You know, we've talked about the Malaysian Square. What would be some of the activities that can be seen there?
Yeah, I think Malaysia Square was envisaged as a place where we would demonstrate the spirit of Malaysia. And spirit of Malaysia is very inclusive. We're multicultural, we are very hospitable. And so, I mean, we've been talking to the High Commission. The High Commission will be looking at hosting events here. We've been talking to Tourism Malaysia to bring in cultural elements, and also to Malaysia Airlines. So I think, but on a broader scale, we would like to see Malaysia Square embrace London. Not just purely Malaysian, but to bring London events into Malaysia Square. So, you know, different cultural elements from all components of London. And London is an enormously cultural city, okay? So it will be a cross-cultural place. It will be Malaysia Square because it gives some recognition to us as developers. But we would like to see it beyond just promoting the spirit of Malaysia, to allow the spirit of Malaysia in terms of multiculturalism and to be in this development.
It was discussed very recently in terms of Malaysian manufacturers, particularly in the construction sector, onto trying to put their products into this project. Some numbers were being talked about, including a £30 million worth of construction materials that have been sent over. Is that it, or what would be some of the impact in terms of growing this number even further?
In terms of what our suppliers, yes, we've had suppliers from flooring to tiles. We've got Royal Selangor here now. We've got Roti King. You can come here for your roti canai or teh tarik fix. And certainly in the future phases, we'd look to see how we can bring in more input from Malaysia.
Now, you've had a very storied history in corporate Malaysia, and anybody who's worth their salt in terms of being in the business or being in the know-how of this industry would see you as pulling this off quite well. Would you consider this to be your crowning glory?
I wouldn't say personal. I've been very lucky. I've come in, I'm here now. It is certainly, I think, the crowning glory is to the team, you know, the shareholders, the directors. There are very many people who have been, it's 10 years, okay? The people who started this project out 10 years ago, who had vision, some of them are still with us, some of them moved on. CEOs, you know, we had previously one CEO, today we have Simon. We've had various people, various directors been part of this journey. And everybody has had a contribution. So for me, I think the greatest satisfaction is being part of a fantastic team of shareholders, of board of directors, and of management. And I think this as a collective team, Malaysian and British, has made it possible. So yeah, That's what I'm proud of.
What about the future Malaysian brands coming into this sector? Do you feel that we can see more Malaysian names in terms of businesses coming and set up their shop here?
I've had a wonderful suggestion yesterday, right, Chef Wan, and I have taken that suggestion on, and I sent him a text last night, and I said, Chef Wan, come take a look.
All right, thank you very much, Dato', for this conversation. We'll go for one short break. When we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more on the Battersea Development Corporation. Thanks for staying on with us. I have with me Simon Murphy, the CEO of the Battersea Power Station Development Corporation, talking about the grand opening of the power station itself. Simon, thanks for taking the time to speak with us. This is the moment. Perhaps you can share with us the kind of reception that has been seen, and of course, what would be some of the initial thoughts regarding the opening of the power station?
It's been a very memorable journey. I initially came to the project with the view of being here for a few short months, and now 10 years later I've got the privilege of being part of the team who are going to open this building, bring it back to life. It's been an extraordinary experience working with Malaysia and the UK, coming together, making many friends on that journey at a personal level, and collectively I think achieving so much. As we know, the former Prime Minister of the UK always described this building as the Everest of real estate, and I think that is a fair description. It's been an incredibly challenging project, but the team, from the shareholders to the team, our consultants, everybody has come together and have scaled that peak. So it's a very proud day for all of us to have got to this point.
Of course, the young di-Pertuan Agong, the King, is here to officiate the opening. What would be your feeling to see this momentous event?
An incredible honour. You know, we think this project is something very special, but to have the King of Malaysia coming to celebrate and officiate at this evening is the icing on the cake. He's got very strong ties with the UK. This project is about the UK and Malaysia doing something wonderful together.
Let's talk about the new town centre here at the development area. Perhaps you can talk more to that effect.
Certainly, at the point we've got to, we have created a new town centre. So as we look at the project today, the building itself, the power station, the jewel in the crown is complete. Our high street is nearly complete. The tube has been running for a year, bringing more than 5 million people to Battersea. We have more than 2,000 people living here. We have parks for people to enjoy. So yes, there is a long way to go and a lot of opportunity left, but what we have here today is very much a completed development in its own right.
Support from the local Brit community is actually quite important. Are they supportive of this development project?
I think people are extraordinarily happy to see the building come back to life. It's been sitting here idle for 30 years. 4th of September 2012, the power was initially turned back on by the Malaysian consortium. And from that day to this, there has been untold amounts of work and energy to get to this point. So everyone is very proud, relieved to see the building come back to life, excited to see what's going to be inside it, and I think grateful for what Malaysia has done within London. They've been good citizens of London and have done something very special for this city as part of our team.
The centrality of the Battersea project is actually quite crucial. The perception of it is actually quite important for us to discuss. How big of a deal is it to have, say, for instance, the tube station located in Zone 1 of central London, and of course the proximity of it with some of the key places like Sloane Square as well as Tottenham Court. What would be the perception that needs to be managed when it comes to the proximity of the Battersea station with central London?
Fine. So we have created a completely new town centre, a completely a complete way of living. As we say, you can live here, you can work, you can shop, you can enjoy. Battersea has everything. So that in itself is very current and very topical in a world where people are averse to long commutes and long journeys, that they want the resources they need to live a happy and fulfilled life on their doorstep. And that's what we offer. In terms of how does Battersea fit into the overall London area, there's always been a perception, I think, that this area is further out from the core of the city than it genuinely is. But we closed that gap when, in September 21, the Northern Line extension was opened, and since then, Battersea Power Station, underground station, has been running 12 minutes to get back to Tottenham Court Road from our very own Zone 1 tube station. This is central London.
Maybe you can talk to the effect of how it's contributing to the economies of both Malaysia and the United Kingdom.
It's my understanding it's one of the largest investments by Malaysia into London, into the UK. We are very grateful for that. At every level of government, people have been involved and they appreciate what a huge commitment this is. It can only strengthen the ties between the countries, and I hope the UK can reciprocate in the near future.
There's still a long road ahead. 10 years have elapsed, and of course we're looking at perhaps even a further 10 years or even more of the road that lies ahead. What more work that needs to be done to manage the expectations of what is to come for the Battersea Power Station development project?
There's 40% of the site to go. A lot of the particularly hard yards, as we say, have been undertaken. Refurbishing a power station building is a challenging concept. Building a tube station is challenging. Bringing all the infrastructure together is challenging. And those challenges have been overcome. But there is still 40% of the project which we need to progress in the future. In terms of what are the actual uses for that? Well, the world is an uncertain place at the moment, and what will be driven by is the demand for various asset classes. The plan here is to keep a mix of uses. It'll always be very much a mix of commercial and residential uses, but the precise designs and the precise mix is something which we will, once we've got through the opening, take a very short breath and then progress constructively with that, assessing the market as we go.
Commercial aspect is quite important. Maybe you can share with us some of the brands that has already set up shop here.
A lot of brands do want to be associated with it, and a lot of brands are associated with it. So the current space which has been developed is 95% let. There's very little space left. The brands who we wrote down on a piece of paper 4 years ago to create this wonderful ecosystem of retailers and food and beverage here are broadly the brands that we've got. So we're very proud, we're very confident that there will be a successful mix, but certainly as we move forward to create new spaces and new space, I believe we will see further take up from other brands in the future.
It's important for us to talk about the gross development value of the project, valued at £9 billion sterling, or about 55 billion ringgit. Maybe you can share with us what has been realized thus far, and perhaps talk to us in terms of the mix or the ratio between residential and commercial and office. What would be the mix that we have right now versus the kind of ideal mix that the development company is trying to look at?
Sure. In terms of the gross development value of the project, so what it's worth, the overall numbers are about 9 billion sterling at the moment. That's moved up recently because we've got a new improved planning consent for the future phases. And where we are as we stand today is 5 billion or so of value which has been developed and converted into finished products. So that's broadly where we are financially. In terms of the mix, it's always been very important to create that complete ecosystem of uses that people need to live. So broadly we're at 50% for all of our residential uses, and the other 50% is commercial, and that means retail, food and beverage, leisure, offices. We have an NHS community centre, we have a small police station. It really is a new town centre with that balance in what we've currently got, and we'll maintain a similar balance to the end of the journey.
It's not just about the commercial items that we have touched upon. It's also important for us to discuss the open spaces that is made available for the community, and of course the kind of community work that is being done in order for you to get the local support and the local involvement into this project.
When the shareholders came to this project, there was the mantra to be good citizens of London and not to create a separate community, but to engage with the local community. And I think the team have been spectacularly successful with that. The local community are 100% behind this project. They can see the benefits, whether that be jobs or the infrastructure. And in terms of spaces for people, we have a 6-acre park at the front, which for the late Queen's Jubilee celebrations was the place that 85,000 local people came to celebrate. I think endorsing and supporting just how much this place means to them. So there's a lot being done for the community, and the community are paying us back by supporting all the activities on this site.
Let's talk a little bit more about the corporate tenants that have set up shop here. Are you able to share some of the names?
No comment. Other than what their chief executive said fairly recently, which is that they look forward to being here in early 23. I think it's an extraordinary element of the development. There are many things which are unique here. That is probably as unique as you can possibly get. A lift that'll take you 109 metres up out of a chimney top, and then getting this extraordinary view of the London skyline, which no one, apart from a steeplejack and a few pigeons, has ever seen before. So we're excited by that. And it's one more part of that offering, so that when people wake up at home one day and say, what should we do today as a family? They say, let's go to Battersea Power Station. We can go to the park, we can have our Roti King, we can have a trip up a chimney lift, we can go to the cinema. There is a myriad of things to do, and the chimney lift is one of the very exciting things on offer.
Do you ever regret taking up this job? It's a momentous feat. What would be some of the ideas that have come to you on a personal basis in executing this role that you have right now?
It's the highlight of my career, undoubtedly. Yeah, there'll be nothing that ever comes close to being part of the team that have climbed the Everest of real estate.
The economic conditions of the global economy or the wider economy is actually quite uncertain. Will this development project be hampered or facing strong headwinds leading into 2023?
We focus on the things that we can control, and what we can control is creating an extraordinary environment, a wonderful building which people will want to come and see, creating the very best lineup of retailers and food and beverage offerings which cater to everybody across the economic spectrum. Make it look good, get the retailers trading well, open the building up, do all of the basics well, and we will succeed. We're not blind or oblivious to the market conditions, but if we do our jobs well, then I firmly believe that people in London will choose to come and do their shopping and have their leisure time and relax and to some extent get away from some of the challenges of the current world here at Battersea Power Station.
Could you share with us a type of buyers perhaps who has bought up the place? And when we talk about local versus international, local buyers, what would be the mix between Brits versus non-Brits, but domestic versus international buyers?
We're substantially sold with our residential product. We are launching our final 200 units of residential in the next few weeks, and the team will be in Kuala Lumpur with our shareholders to share that news in KL. In terms of our buyer profile, we have buyers from across the world. Our single largest pool of residents, not just buyers, but residents, are UK nationals. Over the last 18 months, despite COVID, we've had some very strong sales numbers. We've sold £600 million worth of homes, and the vast majority have been to the UK market. So everybody's welcome here. The UK market have really engaged with this project. We're not a lights out London project, we're a lively, vibrant place where people from across the world are choosing to live.
And that was my conversation with the Battersea Power Station Development Company. I remember reading about this project about 10 years ago in the press, and to see and witness the completion of Phase 1 and Phase 2 and the opening of this power station by the young di-Pertuan Agong really moved me and will stay with me for a rather long time. This story is yet to be told There's a lot more that needs to be uncovered, so do stay tuned with us on astroawani.com. Just search for Battersea or Notepad because we're going to continue to tell this story in the months and years to come. But for now, this is me, Ibrahim Sani, signing off from Central London, United Kingdom.